would say the biggest challenge is just really is keeping the faith, keeping the motivation, because Melissa and I don't really have time to have a bad day.
What's up, everybody? Rick Phan here. Welcome to the Phan Life channel, Phan Life Show. This is Velvet. You might have met her in previous videos. Today, together, we're going to introduce Total Dog Las Vegas and introduce you to the founders and owners in Justin and Melissa. They have a pretty cool, unique story. Justin took his leadership skills from the military, brought it over to a business that he started a few years back, and now they're expanding and growing at a rapid pace. I bring Velvet there for all of my boarding and training needs, and they treat her like gold. Velvet, pay attention. Well, looks like she needs to go back to training. But anyway, look at this cute face. Everybody, welcome Justin and Melissa and hear their story of a family-run business, which is basically as American as apple pie. So enjoy the video, and we'll see you guys later. Justin and Melissa, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Well, thank you guys for making the time. I know you guys are super busy. You know, you got a family, got a business, and you got a bunch of kids too, because I know in dealing with you guys and talking to you guys, all the family pets and all the furry members, you guys do consider your family. You take good care of them. So I appreciate that. So just as a disclaimer to the audience, you guys also are personal to me because I entrust my furry baby with you guys. And, you know, I drop up Velvet, who can be a knucklehead, but she loves you guys and she loves being here. So thank you for taking care of her every time.
We love Velvet.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, guys, I mean, today's conversation is me getting to know you and getting to behind the story of Total Dog Las Vegas and a little bit about your story as well, too. And hopefully it inspires and it helps people to realize that, hey, if you have a passion for something, why not turn it into a service? Why not turn it into a business? Because you can definitely serve the community and serve, you know, a certain niche and a certain group of people that really may have desire for your services. I think a lot of people have hobbies. They just don't know how to turn it into a grander scale. So if you guys are cool with that, we'll just kind of just chat along. So, you know, no format. So Justin, Melissa, tell me a little bit about yourself. Also, you guys are married. So how did you guys meet? How did you guys get together and how long have you been married? Let's start there.
Yeah, that'd be you.
You want me to go?
Yeah,
okay.
let's do that one.
So I met Justin when I was 13 years old.
Okay.
So we were babies. He was 15, I believe, 15. And we pretty much have been together since then.
Wow.
We got married when I was 18 in 2002. So we've been married for 18 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. So 18 years, and Justin joined the Air Force in 2001. Yep. August 2001. Yep, just retired, 20 years of service. So we're excited about that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, first and foremost, Justin, thank you for your service and 21 years. Did that go by like that or did it drag on? What was your perspective in that timeline?
I think looking back on it, it went by really fast. There are definitely times during that 20 years that it seemed like time was going extremely slow. But all in all, now that I'm done, looking back on it, it was really, really quick. And I feel like it kind of catapulted us to where we're at now. You know, when I was young, when I was in high school, I really didn't have much drive. I didn't have much motivation to do much. I wasn't the greatest student. You know, I got into a little bit of trouble here and there. And I had a cousin that had been in the Air Force and just kind of on a whim, you know, I had a conversation with him and it sounded good. And I signed up not knowing, you know, if I was going to do 4 or 6 or 20 like I did. And it taught me a lot. It taught me, you know, really how to stay motivated, how to stay engaged, and how to lead. Really, I think is probably the biggest thing that I took away from the military. I was learning how to be a leader. And I know that if I didn't join the military and go down this path, that there's no way that we would be running a business, you know, with 40 employees that rely heavily on our leadership. So I definitely know that the military has helped us get to the point that we're at now. So I like to say that it was more of a catapult to get us where we are now.
No, I agree. That's beautifully stated. Let me ask you this then, because I think people get leadership or leaders and bosses confused. You can be a boss without being a leader. So let me ask you, since we're on that vein, what do you think a good leader is, or what are some of the characteristics of a good leader is, based on your experience in the military and based on you being an entrepreneur as well?
Yeah, leadership, there's tons of books on it. There's tons of podcasts on leadership, and you hear a lot of the same thing: leadership versus management, leadership versus a boss. There's tons of actual textbook ways or textbook answers to that question. In my opinion, a leader is somebody that's engaged. We try to lead to letting people know that we care about them. We still have a high standard, and we will hold people accountable to that standard. But at the same time, we make sure that they understand how much we do appreciate them, how much we care about them. We want to get to know them. We want to get to know their families. And I think that really makes people want to work for you, and not just work for you, but really work for themselves because they're enjoying it so much.
Yeah, no, I think that's huge. And I think, to put a stamp on that is a good leader or a true leader is willing to do all the things themselves that they expect other people to do, right? As cliche as it is, it's that lead by example mentality. So I do appreciate that. And I do experience that when I go into your business and the environment and the attitude that your employees have. I know it starts with you guys. So I think that's perfectly stated. Tell me a little bit about some of maybe even the not even necessarily harshest, but just the challenges that one faced in opening a business, of trying to venture off on your own and being your own boss and being an entrepreneur. Anything that stands out? I know you guys are fairly young in your business, but anything that has stood out so far?
I think we wake up with a new challenge every day. There's a lot that's put on business leaders' shoulders. Especially when you're responsible for, the well-being and putting money and food on 40 employees, pockets in their plates. It's definitely a lot. So you have to get up and be motivated even when times are tough. We have had, tough times, especially I would say in the beginning. Opening up the pet resort was definitely lots of challenges. We had challenges with finding the right location. Once we found the right location, we had challenges, with renovating the space the way we wanted it. We ate into a lot of our capital initially when we opened up the pet resort, almost to the point where we were worried and concerned that, are we making the right choice opening up this pet resort? And that's even days before the pet resort opened, and almost, second guessing yourself at times. I don't know if you know this or not, but me and Melissa are very faith-based individuals. So, relying on your faith, and putting a lot of this, in prayer and in God's hands has definitely helped us get to the point where we are at now. And not every business leader is faith-driven, but you got to at least have something that you look towards, during those difficult times. Because like you said, there's no business that can open and not have issues or have struggles or have money issues or have employees issues. I would say the biggest challenge is just really is keeping the faith, keeping the motivation, because Melissa and I don't really have time to have a bad day. And that's not always easy, especially, I'd say another challenge that's important is just the balance as a family. I'm sure that's something that we're not the only ones that deal with that, but we have 2 young daughters, and, Melissa went from being a stay-at-home mom, where the kids were there with her, all the time, to now she's in the office and me and her are grinding it out every day. It doesn't mean that the girls are getting neglected. It's just, trying to find that balance, whether it's daddy-daughter dates or family outings on the weekends, and just finding ways to block that out on your calendar. As goofy as that sounds, I try to block everything out of my calendar. If I know I need a daddy-daughter date, then I'm going to block it out, from 4 to 8 o'clock at night on Tuesday, then I'm going to do that. Then that space or that time is protected, because if you don't protect that time, then it is going to get filled up with something else.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that work smart, but they also, work hard, but they also work smart. And there has to come a balance, especially when you have family, especially when you have kids, is to find that, so that really time with them, like you're saying, is a recharge for you. You can't be a good business owner if you're constantly worrying about your kids or missing your kids or feeling guilty about not spending time with your kids. I think if you want to be 100% when you're in the office, you have to know that your home life and your kids and everything else, you giving them 100% when you have time with them. And again, I don't want people to gloss over what you said, because I think what you said is very poignant, very important, is to find that balance. And I think the key to finding that balance is to know the separation as well too. And as you know, or may not know, my wife and I, we are building this business, this real estate business together. And we have to put our phones down in a different place, and we have to physically say, no more business. We're having dinner, or no, we're just going to sit still and watch a movie, because it's so easy to get those two worlds to mix into one 24/7. And then next thing you know, you turn around and you're like, where'd my wife go? Because all I see is my business partner. Or where'd my husband go? Because all I see is my business partner. So I'm glad you brought that up with the family. Let me ask you this. So you guys, or at least for Justin, you were in the military, you're in the Air Force. How did this business, or the concept of this business, come about?
But like I said in the beginning of the interview, I didn't take school very seriously. So thankfully, I was given this opportunity where I joined the military. I came in as a security forces member, which a part of that is the opportunity to get accepted into the military working dog program. So I got accepted to go to the military working dog school, and that was in 2006, and I've been training dogs since then. On top of that, I furthered my education and went to the Animal Behavior College to learn a little bit more about animal psychology, which is definitely helps in this line of business. I was able to get a couple jobs when I was in Arizona as a trainer. And then I decided, all right, well, I think I can do this myself. And when I say I think I can do it myself, it was more of a hobby. It was like, here's a little bit of extra income so we can go have fun as a family. That's really how it started. It wasn't until, I would say, about 2.5 years ago, when Melissa and I kind of sat back and was like, man, that 20-year mark is coming up quick. What am I going to do when I grow up, type of thing.
Yeah.
And I actually had toyed around with so many different ideas. Actually, real estate was one of them. And it really just came down to, my passion was dogs. And we kind of sat back and said, all right, well, if we're going to do this for real, we should probably start it before I get out of the military. That way we don't have to start from the ground up.
Smart.
Up until last January, I had been doing everything on my own. What I mean by that is I was training, I was doing the phone calls, I was doing the consultations, I was doing all the scheduling all myself. Melissa wasn't involved at that point. In January of last year, I handed her a stack of papers about this thick of leads that I had received that I hadn't been able to contact, just because it was getting so busy with one person that I couldn't train and do everything else. And I asked Melissa if she wanted to help. And that's really where her and I as business partners really started. Yeah, it's definitely been a wild ride. I've always had a love for animals, love for training dogs. Been training dogs for 15, 16 years professionally now.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Melissa, I'm not going to let you get off that easily. So
no.
It's a great segue. So thank you, Justin, for bringing her in terms of explaining what she does and things of that nature. So Melissa, as far as you were a stay-at-home mom, so now you're back in the workforce, you're working for your own company, but nonetheless, you're back in the workforce. How did you make that transition, or how did you overcome some of the obstacles, whether it be a mental thing or a scheduling thing? Because, I'm sure there are moms out there that have raised kids basically their whole, marriage or until the kids are self-sufficient. And they look around, they go, wow, my kids are in school most of the time, or my kids are grown up. What's next for me? How do I go back into the workforce, or how do I become an entrepreneur? How has that mind shift been for you? Any tidbits you want to give to the moms out there?
Yeah, so I was a stay-at-home mom for I think about 9 years. And the reason why I chose to be a stay-at-home mom was because Justin was gone a lot, deployed a lot when our oldest daughter was a baby. So it was definitely challenging working a full-time job and, you know, managing the house and taking care of a baby. So I decided to stay home. And then I just continued to stay home for, you know, the 9 years. And then when he handed me that stack of paper, I was like, okay, you know, they're in school. I can manage this in between and just kind of work through that. And so I would do it, and I would do it in my vehicle, waiting for school pickup. You know, be taking phone calls and scheduling. So it's definitely been a challenge getting back into it, and it took me, you know, I would say at least a good 6 months for me to get some kind of rhythm and, you know, something going, just so I could just stay organized, stay focused, but then at the same time balance, you know, the homework and the housework and friendships and you know, marriage. So it was definitely a challenge. I think for me the biggest challenge has been just being in a leadership role. I never really have seen myself being a business owner. That's always been Justin, and I just always supported him and all of his business adventures. So that has been, I think, the biggest challenge for me. And having Justin, you know, being in a leadership role in the military, he's really coached me through a lot of it, which has been amazing. You know, and there's some days where I just want to, I'm like, I don't think I can do this. I don't know if I'm cut out for it, because being in a leadership role isn't really made, you know, it's not for everybody. And it's definitely challenging for sure. But he's been coaching me through it. And I know that I've grown a lot as a person, as a leader, even in being a mother and, you know, working now full time. Some days I don't get home till 7, 8. You know, and the girls are always like, hey mom, you know, you coming home? I miss you. And, you know, they make me feel bad, but, you know, I know that we're doing this for them. This is their, you know, this is their future. So I think that, you know, they finally realized somewhat that, you know, hey mom, she's working, you know, she's providing for us as well. So that's been a challenge, but, you know, together as a team, we work through it for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's been a wild ride for sure. Lots of happy tears, lots of sad tears, and just learning and growing through the whole process.
Absolutely, and it's ever growing, ever evolving too, right? Do you guys incorporate your kids in the business in any way, shape, form?
Yeah, so Abigail, our oldest, who just turned 13 yesterday, which is scary as a father to say out loud. She actually works. She comes and she works, especially during the summer. Even during COVID, she would come and she would work in between her classes. So she would do her online schooling, you know, in the office, and she would go. And that was we never forced her to do that. We never asked her to do that. That was something that she wanted, which is awesome to see, you know, her at 12 years old, you know, say, hey, I want to come to work. And yeah, you know, she's making a little bit of money, which is awesome for a 12-year-old, and I'm sure that's motivating. But I think for her also, just to know that this is her parents' company, I think that says a lot, and I think that really is what excites her. If you ask anybody, you know, at the front desk, or if you ask, you know, anybody in the back of the pet resort, you know, about her, I guarantee that they'll say that she's one of the hardest workers that actually, you know, works there.
Yeah.
You know, she's there picking up poop. She's there scrubbing kennel. She's there. She bathes the dog. She, you know, like
loves on the dogs, plays with the dogs. Like she knows all their names. She takes all the pictures. Yeah. She absolutely loves being there, and she loves helping. And, you know, she's got goals where she sees herself when she's old enough to do the reception job, like, you know, Devin does there. And
sure.
She's really looking forward to that. She's been learning a lot, even the computer software. She checks in dogs and she brings them to the back, and she's really a hard worker, which is nice, because I feel like a lot of the younger generation are struggling with a lot of their work ethics, and they feel like, you know, everything should be handed to them and they don't have to do a lot of work. So I think it's really good that she's building that foundation now and young, because, you know, those are the future leaders. So it's really important that they learn these skills young.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you find that your relationship with your daughters are better for the simple fact that you incorporate them into the business as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. I know Abby loves it. Megan, our youngest, who's 8, she's not like the hands-on person quite yet at the pet resort. She'd rather not be there. She loves dog training. She loves watching me train. And she's extremely confident. I think she's a mirror image of me. There's been multiple times where she will tell random people at the pet resort that she's gonna run this business or she's gonna own the business someday.
That's beautiful.
She understands the hiring process, the firing process.
Right.
You know, she just knows that she wants to lead. I think that's the big difference between her and Abigail. Abigail, right now, she's more like hands-on and she really enjoys learning the ins and outs of the business. Megan in her head is like, this is gonna be mine, which is awesome. You know,
that's awesome, man.
Go for it. Yeah.
No, that's great. That's great. So in terms of your business, what is your vision? I know I've spoken to Melissa and she says your brain is always just and always on fire. It's always going. So more the visionary. What do you see for Total Dogs Las Vegas, or what do you see for yourself as an entrepreneur and both of you guys?
I think I have a couple different paths, you know, that I want to take, but they all kind of go together. I'd say the first thing for the pet resort, we need a bigger space. We've already outgrown what we have. We're in a lease, you know, so we're not going to get out of there anytime soon. But we do need to start planning and position ourselves for what we want next. We would like to get land and build something from the ground up to be exactly what we want, which will take time. It's going to take money. It might take investors. But I would like to have, you know, what I call like a dog campus. And when I mean campus, I mean like everything that you would think that would involve dogs. You know, training, boarding, grooming, everything that we have now. But incorporate like a vet clinic, incorporate a dog food store, you know, a pool for dogs to swim in, you name it, which sounds like a lot, but I know that if we could get that up and running, I mean, that's a place that I think anybody would love to take their dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go somewhere and I can buy their food, I can get their shots, they could get training, you know, I get some energy out all at the same time. You know, so I think that's one of our biggest goals in the next 3 to 5 years.
I do have a suggestion. It's a selfish suggestion. You guys need to open a facility in Henderson. This is how much I love these guys. I drive 45 minutes each way to drop my dog.
Yeah, we do love that. I really do.
The little care that you guys give Velvet and all that stuff. So it means a lot. I think that's a testament to you guys. 45 minutes. So yeah, so just throwing it out there. Henderson, Nevada.
And you probably pass roughly 10 other.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I won't name names, but there's one 5 miles away from me. But you know, it's important to me. And when I find value and I find sincere, genuine care, you know, you guys have a culture there that I'm all about culture, and I can sense it, and I can feel it when I walk into a room. You know, so I appreciate that. So I won't keep you guys much longer. I wanted to slowly get to know you, and we'll do this again. So let me ask you this. If you are talking to a couple or a single person, but let's say a couple, and they're debating on, you know, doing something that they're passionate about, turning it into a business, becoming an entrepreneur, are there any tidbits that you want to share or give to people? You know, it doesn't have to be super granular, but just even philosophies or ideas or something you've experienced that you want to share. Any tidbits that can help people maybe make the transition a little bit smoother, or even push them over the edge so they can do the transition they've been thinking about forever.
Yeah. I think the biggest one, I mean, if we're talking about couples, is, you know, going into that as a couple, if it's a solid relationship that's built on, you know, love and trust and everything that a good relationship should have. If you're both passionate about it, there's no way that it's going to fail, because you're always going to have each other to lean on. Sometimes when you go into business by yourself, you're almost like floating on an island by yourself. And, you know, when things get tough or things get hard, like, who do you reach out to? There's plenty of days that Melissa lifts me up. There's plenty of days where I lift her up, you know, because my good days are not always in line with her good days. you know, and vice versa. So, you know, if it's a couple that's looking to make that jump, I would say, you know, you got to look at each other eye and make sure first off that your relationship is solid. And if it is, I don't see how you can fail as long as you put a good team in place. You know, there's no way that it can fail. I'd also say that if it's something that you're truly passionate about and you've done your time and you've done your homework to make sure that it's something that's feasible, that's profitable, obviously there's going to be risk. We've taken a lot of risk.
Sure.
You know, with this business, we still take risks. Again, you gotta lean on something. Like I said, we lean on our faith, but you gotta find something to lean on to push you through those difficult times when sometimes those risks that you take seem like, oh man, that's not going to work out the greatest.
Yeah.
But you gotta have something to look forward to on the other end and push through.
And just to, you know, my own little philosophy on risk is, and I wish, and this only came to me probably within the last 5 years of my life. You know, it's not like I was born this way. It's just through the evolution of who I've become, surrounding myself with certain people and what have you. The reality of life is, in any realm, life in general, it's life is a risk. You know, it's a challenge, it's a risk. Being trapped in something comfortable is a risk. Being trapped in the safety net is a risk. So it's a matter of just realizing which risk or which path of risk you want to take and which yields you the biggest reward. And at the end of the day, you know, when you're truly, truly retired at 90, you know, which one will you look back on and regret more, you know, going for it or just being sick? And I think if you talk to anybody that have, you know, been blessed to live that long, they will tell you, you got one shot at this thing, just go for it. You know, the worst thing that you think in your mind that can happen, most of the time will probably not happen. And even if it does, you'll be okay. So I think if people can resolve to that, I think they will take better chances on themselves and they'll bet on themselves like you guys did. I appreciate both of you. We'll definitely do this again because I want to see the progress of the business and as it grows and it evolves. I'll definitely make sure I'll put all the social media stuff attached to the description so they can get a hold of you guys. You know, I'll let you do a little bit of self promo. You want to talk a little bit about your business, where you guys are at, and how they can get in touch with you guys, the audience, especially in the local area?
Yeah, first off, thank you for having us, and more importantly, thanks for trusting us with your fur baby, who I know is near and dear to your heart. We know that the service that we provide, we don't take it lightly. You know, the safety of your dog and all of our clients' dogs when they're in our care is always number one. So thank you, first off, for trusting us with that. It's no different than trusting somebody watching your child. So we understand that. We take that very seriously. If people want to reach us, if they're interested in training, boarding, daycare, they can reach out to our website, totaldogvegas.com. We're also on Instagram and Facebook at Total Dog Vegas. They can follow my personal training page, Dog Boss 702 on Instagram. There's a lot of good training content on both those platforms. They can reach us by phone, email, text. All that information is on the website. There's even a lead contact us generation form that's on the website. They fill that out and the office will get back with them, you know, as soon as possible.
Beautiful. I'll make sure I'll link all that information. So hopefully people will reach out to you guys. This is a great American family business, great American story, guys. And I love conversations like this. So I hope we inspire people to do what you do in whatever industry or whatever passion they have. So thank you guys again. We'll be in touch. Velvet and I will come in and visit you guys soon. And until then, guys, take care. Thanks for your time.